Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. The title of this episode is Understanding Menopause and How to Have Grace with It. In this episode, we are speaking with Alison Bladh, who is a registered nutritional therapist and beauty therapist living in the wilds of Sweden, and after falling for the charms of a Viking man, having worked in the health and wellness industry for over 30 years, specializing in menopause, women's health, she now runs her own online clinic, helping women worldwide manage and navigate symptoms of menopause. Her mission is to support her clients with bespoke changes to diet, health, and lifestyle so they can harness their hormones and get their confidence and sparkle back. Alison, it is such an honor to have you on. I'm so excited to talk about menopause and how women can manage, gracefully through this transitional period in their life. But before we dive into the topics, can you please give a little bit more about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Oh, thank you, Christina. It's so lovely to be on your podcast today. Thank you so much for having me. So my background, I was very lucky. I was very privileged. I was brought up on a farm in the south of England. So from a very young age, I became very interested in nature and, being outside. And my mother was a professional chef. So, from the age of, as soon as I could move or walk, I was in the kitchen watching her cook, and she used to grow her own vegetables and fruits and everything. So my love of food really started from a very, very young age. Watching her cook, and I've always loved cooking, and I really enjoy now being in the kitchen and doing new recipes, etc. So that was really my love of food started. But when I was a teenager, I suffered from acne. I had very bad hormonal skin, and that kind of led me into being very interested in hormones and women. Why was this happening to me? Even as a teenager, I was very interested in what was going on, and I knew that I didn't want to take medication. So I started looking into things and realizing that lifestyle and what you were eating and everything played a big role in your hormonal health and skin health. So then I actually, after being so interested in the skin and really helping to improve my skin through doing these things, I worked as an esthetician initially, specifically working with women's skin that had hormonal problems, and that led me into women that were going through perimenopause and menopause, because that is an area where you can suffer from acne and pigmentation. Your skin can all of a sudden change. Mm-hmm. But I very soon came to realize that working as an esthetician is great, but you also need to work on the inside. So then I went back to university and studied nutritional science, and have been working as a nutritional therapist ever since, specializing in perimenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal women's health, because it can be a really difficult time for women. All these hormonal fluctuations and decline in estrogen and progesterone can play havoc with the body. Mm-hmm. So knowing what to do and getting the right support and getting your lifestyle nutrition in place can really help you through this time in your life.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a little too young to be going through that, but I've seen other women, like my mother's friends and my mother, and the hot flashes and all those things. So what are the stages of menopause?
Yeah, the stages are, it's a great question, because there are so many people that don't really understand what they are. We use the term menopause, but menopause is actually one of the three stages. The first stage is what we call perimenopause, and this is this starts around the age of 45. It can start early, it can start later. It's on average 45. And this really is where your hormones start to fluctuate. So it's a bit like a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. Your estrogen can be up 1 month and your progesterone can be down, and it can be all over the place. Which that's when we can start experiencing the different menopausal symptoms, like hot flashes, weight gain, irritability, brain fog. The list goes on. But you're still ovulating and you're still fertile. It's just that your hormones have started to kind of go into this roller coaster. And this gradually, the perimenopausal stage can go on average till the age of 51.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens then is we go into menopause. And basically what menopause means is it's when you haven't had menstruation for a year, because means menstruation, and pause, I mean, it's like the pause in menstruation.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you have waited 8 months and then you have a menstruation, then you're still in perimenopause. It has to be a whole year. And then you can actually say, okay, I'm in menopause. And menopause basically means that you won't ovulate anymore, you can't have children, and you won't be producing much estrogen. You do produce estrogen and progesterone, but that comes from the adrenal glands, which sit on top of the kidneys. So after menopause, you are then in postmenopause, and postmenopause is for the rest of your life. I mean, we're living so much longer now. A woman can live for up to 30 plus years after going through menopause. So it's really important that we have a good quality of life and look after ourselves.
Yeah. So how can nutrition help, us through the menopause transition, and what should we eat and what should we avoid, when we're in menopause?
Yeah, that there's so many things nutritionally wise that you really need to think about when you come into this time in your life, because you really need to take a little bit extra care of yourself. But estrogen is such an important hormone, and that we have what we call estrogen receptors all over the body.
Mm-hmm.
So when your levels start to decline, it affects virtually every system in the body. So what you really need to think about is, eating foods or avoiding certain foods that really will help to promote health. For example, bone health. As women, as we come into menopause, our bone density decreases. So you really need to think about foods that can boost bone health, like, your calcium rich foods like bony fish and all the green leafy vegetables, etc. You need to think about brain health. Again, estrogen is so important for our mental and cognitive well-being. So, all your healthy fats like your omega-3 oils and all your vitamin D products, and foods. Heart health, gut health, all of these systems are affected by the decline in estrogen. So one thing that I would say, that if you just want to do one thing nutritionally, is to really try to avoid highly processed, refined, sugary foods.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't do you any favors. And it's shown in research that, if you're eating a diet full of very sugary, refined foods, your menopausal symptoms will be worse. That hot flashes have been linked to sugary processed foods. Also, if you're carrying extra weight, it's been shown that you will suffer from menopausal symptoms, especially hot flashes. You'll suffer from them more often, more frequently. So really avoiding processed foods. I know it's not easy in the food environment we live in. There's just these packaged foods everywhere. But what I try to say to my clients is to eat whole foods. When you go shopping, when you pick up a product, if it's got a list of like 10, 20 different ingredients that you don't even know what they are, don't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Buy a food like a piece of broccoli, for example, is a piece of broccoli. It's not got 10 different ingredients on it. A chicken is a chicken. Really try to, you have to be mindful of what you buy, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Just buying whole foods is so much better for your overall health, and really will help with menopausal symptoms. And another area that we need to look at this time is gut health, because again, estrogen affects the integrity of the gut as it declines. And you really need to think about all the fermented foods, what we call the probiotic foods, which help to feed our gut bugs, which we really need. sauerkraut, kimchi, fermented vegetables, kefir, all those fermented foods are so beneficial for our gut health. And I mean, if you don't like fermented foods, you can take a probiotic supplement, but I would say to really talk to a professional before you start taking supplementations. But I know sometimes people find it difficult. It's not sauerkraut isn't everyone's favorite food, is it? So it can be a bit tricky to get those foods in. And then, thinking about portion control, we can't unfortunately get away with eating as much as we did when we were younger. Our metabolism slows down. Mm-hmm. So really thinking of how much you eat and being mindful of what's on your plate rather than just, eating for the sake of it. So that there are many things, you really need to think about nutritionally for perimenopause and menopause.
No, I love that you mentioned some things about gut health. For me right now, I'm having, gut health issues. So I love that you just listed a few things like the fermented and the sauerkraut and all that stuff. I'm like, I need to try that. So how can women have what lifestyle modifications that can they do to have like a happy menopause? What's the mindset in menopause? Like, what are some advice that you can help women, to change their mindset on it, or just, have a happy lifestyle?
Yeah, I think the first thing that you have to think about when you come into this phase of your life is that it is a totally natural process. Mm-hmm. It's not a disease. Every single woman will go through this. So really try to embrace it with a positive attitude, even if you're having the odd symptom and maybe don't feel so wonderful, because it's been shown if you have more of a positive attitude, you'll get through it in a much happier way. Mm-hmm. And really trying to understand that, it's okay to look after yourself. I think, women, we always put everyone else first, don't we? And I think when you come into this time of your life, you've been a carer, you've been looking after everybody for so many years, you really need to think, no, this is time for me and I'm going to look after myself, because you do really need that. And when it comes to lifestyle, one of the key areas that is so crucial for perimenopause and menopause is stress management. Stress is so detrimental to health. And when your estrogen levels start to decline, you're maybe in a time in your life where there's a lot going on. You've got children at home, your parents maybe are getting older and need caring for, you're in your career. So there's a lot of things normally happening in a woman's life when she's around 45, and you're probably stressed. I mean, the majority of clients that I work for are overwhelmed and stressed. And it seems like in today's society, we're all suffering from chronic stress. Mm-hmm. What happens when you're stressed is that it's because of the hormones that we produce when we're stressed. One in particular, it's called cortisol. This just has a real detrimental effect on the body if it's constant. It's needed, and we need it for our well-being. But when it's chronic, when you've got those levels constantly, it can promote weight gain. Mm-hmm. Cortisol is actually what we call a fat storing hormone, and that's particularly around the abdomen area. It affects your sleep, which can be a problem when we're in menopause, getting enough sleep. So stress is just not beneficial for anything. And how do we manage stress? I mean, that's the big thing, isn't it? Because the last thing that we want to do is cause more stress by thinking that we should be managing our stress.
Exactly. It's like a vicious cycle.
Oh no, I need to manage my stress. I'm getting stressed about having to do that. So what I tend to say to my clients is find something that works for you, that you can fit into your daily routine, even if it's just for 10 minutes, but really do a stress audit and realize that, I am worth looking after. I will look after myself, because you can't excuse it all the time on I haven't got time, because eventually when you become ill or you become so stressed, you will have to make time because you'll be feeling so terrible. deep breathing is amazing for stress relief. Really simple, just taking a few deep breaths, and you can do that anywhere. And when you deep breathe, it's virtually impossible to become stressed, because it sends a signal to your brain saying everything's okay. So sometimes, if you can feel yourself getting anxious or irritated by something, just stand back and take a couple of deep breaths. It really does work. It really, really does. I think deep breathing is fantastic.
Yeah, it's linked to so many scientific research on deep breathing and how it really does help regulate the nervous system and kind of like calm the nerves down. So I definitely agree with the breathing techniques.
Yeah, it's free, isn't it? It's easy.
Exactly.
Anywhere. And another thing that you really need to think about in menopause is sleep, because sleep it's if you don't sleep, it just sends off this cascade of like negative things that will happen in the body. It creates hunger because it stimulates hunger hormones. You'll have stress, you'll be stressed. It just makes you feel terrible. You'll be more irritable, you'll be more moody. Having a good sleep routine is really, really crucial, and trying to avoid alcohol. Unfortunately, as we get older, we can't process alcohol the same. And I know a lot of my clients say it's just not, even though they like the odd glass of wine, it's just not worth it because of the way it makes them feel. And you'll wake up roughly about 2-3 in the morning, and you'll be lying there and can't get back to sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, that even if you just had one glass.
It happens to me now. Like the older I get, the more I loved my wine, and now I can't drink it really anymore. I wake up in the middle of the night. I don't sleep well, hurts my stomach sometimes. Like I can't do it anymore.
It's not worth it, really, is it? Even though I'm the same. I love a nice glass of wine, but it's not nice lying in bed at 2 in the morning and just staring at the ceiling thinking, I just want to go to sleep.
I know, right? Hey friends, I hope you are enjoying this week's episode of Not Your Mama's Podcast. This podcast would not be possible if it wasn't for the support of you, my wonderful community. To support Your Mama's Podcast, please click the support link right down below, and you can donate just as little as 99 cents. Also, follow me in the Shop Like to Know It app, where you can follow me with all my exclusive content, all the way from baby products I love, fashion and style, and everything in between. Now let's get back to the episode. So I want to talk about kind of ways people can have that skin glow during menopause. And I see, they can have like a sparkle code to help them harness the hormones and get their sparkle back.
Yeah, skin I'm very passionate about the skin. All the things that I've said that, we can do for menopause is going to benefit your skin. But one crucial thing is drinking water. I know that's a very basic thing, but do we really drink as much water as we should? Roughly around 8 glasses a day, but that varies. If you're very physically active, you probably would need more. And, thinking about what you do to your skin as well from the outside, having a good daily routine with a cleanser, maybe a serum and a day cream, sun care, SPF factor in your products is crucial, really, for that is something that I would promote for any woman, but certainly as you get older, because as we get older, shows in your skin how you've lived your life. You can get away with it in your 20s, but the pigmentation and the lines that start appearing as you get older really of what you've done to your skin when you were younger. So sun cream, good products, maybe get professional treatments if you really want to improve your skin, but really thinking about eating balanced food, protein, healthy fats and carbohydrates with every meal, and having a positive attitude. They always say people that have a glowing skin are normally very happy. they say the word, don't they? They're glowing, they're sparkling. I think positive attitude really helps, and it's been shown in research to really help release what we call our happy hormones that have a benefit on all aspects of health and well-being.
Yeah, well, they're radiating the energy of feeling good, happy. So it just shows in their face and in their aura, if they're having a positive mindset. I mean, energy is real. People can sense it, they can feel it. You wear it on your face. If you're not feeling well, people can see the dullness in your face. If you're sick, people can tell if you're upset, even if you're not talking, and people can just tell if you're happy, you know it's all about like the sparkle in the eye, like the glowingness around you. So it is very powerful, the energy, and it's all about your mindset, because your mindset, I feel like, starts the process of what type of energy you're going to put out there and receive at the same time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And you think people that are positive, you want to be around them. They attract other people, don't they? Whereas somebody that's very negative and always looks on the bad side of everything, there's this aura of negativity around them. I'm very sensitive to things like that with that aura around people. Absolutely. It sounds like you are as well.
Oh yeah, no, it rubs off on me. Like, it's like, oh, that person is just a little too negative for me. I'm trying to be in the positive side. Like, I can't. It's because it sucks your energy out. If someone's being negative and stuff, like, I think it's also too, like, be mindful of who you surround yourself with. Like, if you have like a negative Nancy, kind of going through the menopause, like, try to be with positive Sally or something like that, to try to feed off each other instead of like, hanging out with the friend that kind of keeps talking negatively about it. You want to be around people that are positive to keep the energy high.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a good point as well, that, it's so important to have your, friends with you, your girlfriends. I think it's really important to have that female support when you're going through this time in your life, because you can just talk about it, can't you? You can sit there and you can support each other, go and do things together, have a hobby, start play. I started with a girlfriend of mine that we're both going through perimenopause. We started playing golf together, which has just been such a wonderful thing to do, even though it's very hard and it's a really irritating sport to learn. But it's a great thing to do together, and we talk about how we're feeling, and it is great. Really, really lovely.
No, I love that. So, Alison, I have 4 questions that I ask all my guests, and I can't wait to hear what your answers are. And my first question is, who and what inspires you?
Yeah. It inspires me. I'm inspired by people that, and this is very general, but I'm inspired by people that are healthy. I think it inspires me to see older women that have really taken their life and done exactly what they want to do. There's so many fantastic women that in their 60s, even 70s, that start their own businesses and be very successful. So I'm very much inspired by strong older women that have really like got a grip of their lives and are healthy and happy and confident and don't take no for an answer.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a good reminder too, that it's never too late to start anything, and it's never too late to be successful in the things that you want to do. Even if you're 60 and 70, you can still do it. There's no time lost.
No, absolutely not. It's never too late. You only have one life, don't you?
Yes, that's very true. Okay, so my second question is, what is something you wished you knew when you were younger?
I wish that someone had, said, believe in yourself and believe that anything is possible if you really want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're younger, you have so many different thoughts, don't you, in your head, and you don't maybe believe in yourself, and you're unsure of yourself. And I know that when I was growing up, I was quite shy, and I just wish someone had said to me, you know what, anything is possible. believe in yourself. And I do truly believe that now. But I just wish that I'd maybe believed that when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel like I wish I had the same advice in some way. And not like, oh, you have to do this traditional route, which is school. And if you don't do school, then what are you going to do? And, the world is full of possibilities. It's a magical place if you just, open your eyes and explore it a little bit and think outside the box. So that's a great reminder for people. And my third question is, what's the essential part of your daily routine?
My morning routine, I do every morning, and that is essential for me to it puts me in the right mindset for the rest of the day, and it really benefits my overall health. And that involves getting up at the same time every day, not looking at any phones or computers or anything until I've done 10 minutes meditation. I've drunk a big glass of water, and I've had a cup of ginger tea. And then when I've done that, then I do my 10 minutes meditation. And it doesn't take long, but that really kind of sets you up mentally for the rest of the day. So that is something that I do every day and wouldn't change.
I was watching this like rags to riches YouTube video. This guy was homeless and he became like multimillionaire. And one of his morning routines was, don't look at the phone in the morning, wakes up at the same time every day, just kind of like what you do a meditation. He does like a workout and all that stuff. And I need to practice this myself to not look at the phone, but I really do think that's a good practice, because we can get so discouraged by what's in our email, what notifications did we get in our social media apps, and et cetera, et cetera. What did we miss when we were sleeping? And I really think that it is a good practice. And it's been shown for successful people to, don't look at their phone until they finish their morning ritual or whatever that is. So I'm glad that you mentioned that here, so people can, and it's a good reminder for me to be doing that. And then my last question to you is the best advice you've ever received.
Wow, that's a good one. Best advice. I think one thing, and this is something that I've thought about as I've got older, that my grandmother, when you're a teenager, my grandmother was a fantastic lady, but she was very strict and a bit scary really, because she was so strict. And she always used to say to me, sometimes I never listened to her then, but she'd say to me, you only have one life, go and do what you want to do. And at the time, when you're younger, you kind of think, oh, what's she doing? Why is she saying that? But that actually was the best advice that anyone's ever given me. No regrets.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you want to do, because it'll be over soon.
Yeah, you're never promised tomorrow. You got to live like, tomorrow's not going to happen. And one of the things, like I've interviewed a lot of people, and one of the things that I've come up with is that if you have a desire and if it scares you to do it, do it. It's for you. It's not going to be an easy road, because there's lessons in everything that you have to do, and you're not going to have the instant gratification, but just go for it. And you're going to have the ups and downs and the struggle, but it's still meant for you. You have to just keep going. Don't give up. And that's all part of the learning process.
That's how you grow, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
By doing, I'm a great believer in pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Grow as a person.
Yeah. Well, Alison, this was such a wonderful interview. Do you have any last words before we say goodbye today?
Just embrace this time in your life. And as I said earlier, remember that this isn't a disease. It's a totally natural process that every woman will go through. And just always remember that no matter what age you are, we were amazing. We are amazing as women, wise, and we have so much knowledge and so much to give. Yeah.
And we give birth and, grow babies, grow people. And we feed them through our bodies. We really are amazing.
Yeah, truly, yeah.
Well, guys, thank you for listening into another episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. All of Alison's links are down below in the show notes. Don't be shy. Go say hi. I'm sure she'd have plenty of wonderful resources for you to check out if you are going through menopause and you need a little help, if you need a little discipline, or just any more resources that you need. And thank you guys for listening to another episode of Not Your Mama's podcast, and I will see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.